Today, I want to talk about baby Pokemon, but before you click off the video, I also want to showcase a bunch of designs that I think should exist in a Pokemon game. I also want to convince you, I think I'm going to convince you of why baby Pokemon in general are a good thing and not a waste of breath and not a waste of your ears to listen to this video. I also think there's a high likelihood that we're going to be seeing new baby Pokemon not only in Generation 10, but also in the leaked Pokemon game, Pokemon Legends Galar. Game Freak we have their internal documents, and it looks like the next Legends game, currently, this could change, is going to be a Pokemon Legends Galar game. And the last time we got a brand new baby Pokemon, it was in the Galar region in Sword and Shield with this little guy right here, Toxel. And like I said, what I want to do today in this video is convince you why baby Pokemon are not a waste. They're not stupid. They are a little stupid, but they're babies. They're literally babies. And I guess I'll say, to start this off, I don't think, as far as I know, the only time Game Freak ever introduces a pre-evolution to an existing Pokemon line, that Pokemon is by default considered a baby Pokemon. And you know, we can talk about it in a second, what I guess, like the design philosophy or like the traits that, you know, like what are the traits of a baby Pokemon? We can talk about that in a second. But I think Game Freak does this for mechanical purposes, right? They're basically retconning Pokemon lines and saying, oh, guess what? This, you know, Electabuzz has always had a pre-evolution. You just weren't able to get it in Kanto. And so what they do is they say, okay, well, this Pokemon is a baby Pokemon. It's a classification of a Pokemon that basically restricts it from existing in the wild, except, and you can only get it if you breed, and also it can't breed itself, so that's why it doesn't exist in the wild. And it's basically just like it's like a proof. It's a way for them to retcon and still have the world be in the games like a little bit consistent. And what we've seen instead, so like that's initially how this was all set up, but what we've seen instead over time is that these wild Pokemon, they are available in the wild. Yeah, I think Badoo. I think you can get Badoo. Actually, yeah, you can get all of the Generation 4 Pokemon, I think, or a lot of them in the wild, which is a lot of fun. And if I'm mistaken, and maybe it's not Generation 4, I do know in Generation 5 you can get a lot of baby Pokemon. Elekid, Magby, Riolu, I'm looking at that right now. You can definitely get Mantike in Sinnoh. And again, I guess it would have been four generations later in Pokemon Sword and Shield. They did something kind of weird, and they introduced Toxtricity, which is, I think, on the fence of being a Shillmon. Like, it's a, you know, Toxtricity is cool. But they didn't need to do this, but they introduced a baby Pokemon, Toxel, which evolves into one of these two forms of Toxtricity. And it's kind of stupid. And I actually don't even understand why they made it a baby Pokemon, because there's so many other Pokemon like Vullaby that could have been baby Pokemon, but are just your standard, you know, base form. Like, there's nothing about Toxel that needs to be a baby. There's, like, mechanically, there's nothing that needs to be a baby about it. Okay. So what is a baby Pokemon? And listen, I got a ton of designs here, and this is actually like what I wanted to talk about today, but I guess I want to set it all up, right? Baby Pokemon do end up just having traits of babies or little kids. They got big, cute eyes, very simple features. What I like about baby Pokemon is they kind of like take one aspect of the previous stage, or like the original Pokemon, like let's say Sudowoodo, right? It's, you know, it's got a bunch of traits, but its hands, it's got these like 3 bulbs as its like hands. They kind of look like fingers, and they reinterpret that as like in the baby form in Bonsly. Bonsly is just like a solid little, you know, root that basically it's got these, you know, it's got like hair, right? Now those 3 fingers kind of look like hair. So basically, baby Pokemon, for the most part, sometimes you get baby Pokemon looking like little kids, like Riolu. But for the most part, they just kind of, you know, maybe have a diaper, which is, I say that out loud, and that's so stupid. But that is kind of what, like, a lot of these end up looking like. They're just like Azuril's a crybaby. They just have these, like, exaggerated features. They're little, like, blobs. Sometimes you get some cooler ones like Tyrogue. But listen, we're 5 minutes into this video. What do I want to talk about? Like I said, Pokemon Legends Galar is supposed to be the next Pokemon game, right? And I think it would be so cool to actually get some new baby Pokemon, because what I'm trying to get at is that it's all about world building. These baby Pokemon, right? They are brought into their whole existence is to contextualize a Pokemon's evolutionary line. They don't give you, I think baby Pokemon are underrated because everyone is so hyper focused on, being the cool guy, and they're so hyper focused. People are focused on new forms and evolutions that are going to give a Pokemon a power up. But there's some Pokemon like Lapras, like Pinsir, where it's like, I want this thing. Snorlax, right? How awesome is Munchlax? It doesn't need to exist, but the fact that Munchlax is this little guy, this little bear that evolves into Snorlax, it does a lot. It's world building. It makes it make sense. Seriously, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, I just think there's so many Pokemon in existence that I would appreciate if they tacked on another design before the base Pokemon to also, and I guess if you want to say like, okay, this needs a reason outside of just like world building, I think the advantage of having a baby Pokemon or having, a new Pokemon introduced, a new pre-evolution Pokemon introduced, which is by default, like we've said, is going to be a baby. It'll just be, categorized as a baby Pokemon. The benefit of that is that now you can get access to that evolutionary line earlier in a playthrough. And then you can also end up using that same Pokemon, which will eventually evolve into something that, you've known and loved forever. But the fact that a baby exists of that Pokemon means you can get it earlier in the game, right? And that's what we saw in Generation 5, and I think in Generation 7 as well. I think in Generation 7, Sun and Moon, yeah, you can get... I feel like, honestly, in a lot of games, even in Legends ZA, like, you could always get Pikachu early, but, yeah, you can get a Pichu, like, literally right away. And it's a way, I guess, like, in-game, it's a way for Game Freak to give us access to Pokemon lines that are just too powerful otherwise for us to have access to later in the game. And I think Game Freak's biggest mistake is the fact that they also gave a lot of Pokemon that did not need babies. Like Chimecho never needed Chingling. We never needed that, ever. We never needed that. And I also don't think anyone was asking for a baby Mantike. I don't think anyone was ever asking for that. Why not? Didn't need to exist. Azurill, pretty good design. I'm glad it exists. But again, did Marill really need a pre-evolution? And there's so many from Generation 2, which kind of get lumped into this. I do think Clef is a good design, but like we didn't need it. Igglypuff, still, I didn't even say its name right. It's Igglybuff. Never needed to exist. Ever. I don't know. There's a lot where it just ends up feeling like kind of stupid or whatever, but like I'm so glad Budew exists. Okay. So let's take a look here, right? I actually was messaged by this artist right here, which for the first time had never actually said their name, and I'm going to try to say their username right now. Cobrozy. They love Slowking, and they reached out to me and said, I know you like baby Pokemon. Let's talk about baby Pokemon. I have baby Pokemon. Check this out. This little baby Eevee does not need to exist, but how cute is this? Right? And you can't normally get Eevee until much later in most games. I feel like Eevee is kind of like an early to mid game pickup, but like what if this is the starting route Pokemon? Now it's essentially a starter. Again, Tangela. Maybe you think Tangela is stupid, but I think this little baby, this design right here, this pre-evolution for Tangela is not only it's a unique enough design that stands alone from Tangela, but I actually feel like it strengthens Tangela's design overall. You get this sad little boy. It looks like I think it kind of looks like the beginning of like a garlic scape maybe, and right at the tips of the bud, it's like they're all starting to curl around, and right also like in world, now I'm wondering, is this what Tangela looks like? Does Tangela not actually just, like, is it not just a black blob, but is it instead, like, I don't know, like, is it actually, does it have, like, blue skin like this? I don't know. This is really, really cool. Like, that's the kind of stuff that's really nice. I don't think we need a Lickitung pre-evolution, but this one is pretty cute. It's got a little curl on its head, a little baby tongue. I mean, Lickitung is, you can make that a baby. It's got a little bib down here, which also then, like, this baby form kind of connects to Lickilicky, which doesn't feel very good, like, as an evolution to Lickitung. Like, a Lickitung is goated. And I don't know, like, I feel like all of a sudden, 1, 2, 3, this feels so natural. And it kind of, like, wedges Lickitung in between these two other forms that now have a connection to each other. I don't know. Just kind of sick to me. This is also a really great one I wanted to bring up. This is a pre-evolution, a baby Pokemon of Psyduck. It is definitely a little bit smaller. You can kind of see because the hair that is normally on Psyduck's head, it appears a lot bigger on this duck. So this is a little duckling. I think he's so cute. He's blue in color. Just, again, emphasizing, or I guess, like, creating a through line from this stage all the way to Golduck. And it does have, you know, it's got, like, canvas color, you know, like, as this, like, this design kind of, like, kind of mentions, I'm stuttering right now because I don't want to say diaper, but, like, yeah, there's a little bit of a diaper going on, but I was going to say that color is not too far off from Psyduck's gold. Pretty cute. And then I got, these are ones that I've wanted to show off for so long. Greg Andrade. Check this out. Every single one of these designs is so good. We got Milton. Okay. Actually, right off the bat, I want to disagree with this. They made a baby form for Miltank and Tauros. However, I'm going to backstep my rebuttal and say I actually think these two designs are gender variants of the same Pokemon, which would still connect Miltank and Tauros as a single evolutionary line. Like, that should have happened in Generation 2. And that is part of the magic of why baby Pokemon are so cool. Like, you're now able to, again, contextualize. You can even connect things if you wanted to. I love all of these designs right here so much. Again, by Greg Andrade. I love them so much because every single one of these designs has its own identity. None of these just look like a little version of the Pokemon we know and love. All of these Pokemon have their own identity, which I love so much. We have a little larva, which has this yellow color. It's a pre-evolution for Heracross, and you can even see its little pincers, its little arms, actually look like the hands. Those, like, hand cannons that Mega Heracross gets. Genius! So genius. You can see there's a little... I can't go 2 minutes on each one of these. Carnivine is such a weirdo, and I don't even know what this is, but I love this right here. This baby Carnivine, it's like hanging upside down still. This Torkoal, baby Torkoal is looking pretty tough. Like, I actually love this so much. He's this frail little, he should have a rock type. He's a frail little tortoise, but he should have a rock type, and I love this. He's not, maybe he's not even, maybe he's normal type. Maybe he doesn't even have, oh, you know what? Maybe he doesn't even have a fire type yet. Because something else that baby Pokemon do is they can change their types upon evolution. Let's scroll. I think it's scroll up. It's happened at least once. Azurill is a normal type, and it evolves into Marill and Azumarill, which are water types, right? They all gain the fairy type in Generation 6. But that's pretty cool. I don't know. That's honestly, to me, pretty cool that they can, like, change type upon evolution. I think there's maybe one more case. There might not be. I guess there's not. But that is something that we could see. Like, we literally could see that. We got a little baby Onix right here. Little baby Lapras. Little baby Tropius. Again, massive Pokemon. Just big Pokemon like Snorlax. You give them a baby, and now you can, like, you could get a Lapras earlier in the game. And again, shout out to the artist because every single one of these designs is unique. We got a baby. Okay, the baby Ice Cube is hilarious, and I don't think it's bad, but it is kind of a meme. Ice Cube, baby Ice Cube, literally is a popsicle, is a melted popsicle. We got another baby Lick-a-Licky or Lick-a-Tongue, and I like this one because it makes Lick-a-Tongue like this form. It's like waddling around like a baby, and it also kind of it ends up looking a little bit more like a lizard, which I like. There's a baby Nincada right here, which I don't think needs to exist because Nincada I feel like is already pretty. It's like a first stage bug. It's kind of already a baby, but it does evolve at level 20. So I guess you get this thing, and this is like the larva stage. There's a baby Seviper, which is also pretty cool. I think I would want to change the design a little bit. This thing looks a little bit too tough to be a baby, but that is pretty cool. Love this baby. This baby Eevee right here. Another baby Tangela. There's a baby Drowsy, which I think is really, really cool. This baby Drowsy has... Take a shot every time I say baby. This baby Drowsy continues or it kind of inverts the mud pattern that we see on Drowsy that kind of randomly disappears upon evolution into Hypno, which is kind of weird. And honestly, Drowsy deserves a split evolution, I think. But the baby form, like, color swaps it, so it actually has like or at least I guess the mud. I guess it has like a yellow skin, and then I guess that it just has mud on its head, and it also has like mud on its feet, which is I don't know. It does a lot for the design, that color swap. Here's another baby Psyduck, and I gotta be honest, I do love this one a lot. This one's really good. Little baby Psyduck. It's got like white skin. It's got like a yellow bum. Its little tail sticking out there, and I like how it's like reaching towards its toes, and it's got this little curl on its head. We got a baby Mimikyu, maybe unnecessary, but still pretty cool. There's a baby. A lot of people would like this. A baby Farfetch'd is kind of sick, where it has the sprout or the sprout of a. It's an onion. It has an onion on its back, and this Farfetch'd, I don't know, pretty cute. There's a little baby Buizel right here that looks like a little tough kid. It's got a much darker orange color. Yeah, he just looks like a kid at a pool. I kind of love that so much. He looks tough. There's a baby Girafarig, a baby Zangoose. The Zangoose is pretty cute. And again, a lot of these Pokemon you wouldn't get until like mid-game. You could get them now in the first route. There's even a baby Pinsir, which looks just as menacing and horrible as Pinsir. What I'm saying is I think any of these Pokemon could show up. You know what? For good measure, I think any of these Pokemon could show up in a Pokemon Legends Galar game. Let's look up list of Pokemon. Let's go through right now. If we are playing a Pokemon Legends Galar game, right? We're in the Galar region, 1,000 years in the past. What Pokemon deserve a baby form? That's the question right now. And I'm not even gonna speculate on everything. I really want to just say like which Pokemon deserve it, and that's what we'll try to figure out right now. I'm gonna say Wooloo is kind of a prime target. I actually don't think it needs it, but I think Wooloo getting like a baby lamb. I think Wooloo is a sheep. Wooloo is a sheep, but the lamb could look like this. The little lamb, the little baby lamb, could have these giant feet for getting around this Scottish region, but not actually turn into a fluff ball yet. Like, that's the pitch. And I think that's not bad. I actually don't think that's bad at all. I don't think that's bad. Here's something else. This is something else. I actually think there's a lot of Pokemon in Generation 8 that should be baby Pokemon. This might be a different video. Choodle literally looks like a baby Pokemon. Changed my mind. Yamper, kind of the same thing. It's a puppy, right? Let's see. Cramorant could get a baby, but I don't want that. Toxel literally is a baby. It's so weird that we even got baby Pokemon. Clobbopus is another Pokemon that I feel like could have been a baby Pokemon, just because it's like this little kid. Honestly, this might be the video. Hatina and Impidimp also feel like baby Pokemon. They're just like baby Pokemon coded. Don't tell me that's the whole list of Galar Pokemon. It's not, but oh my god. Phalanx could be kind of cool. Phalanx could be kind of cool because I'm imagining a little kid, a little tyke that is playing with toy soldiers, that kind of vibe, and then he evolves to be the head he evolves to become the leader of a bunch of soldiers. Like, that's kind of nice, right? Again, Snom kind of coded as a baby. Stonejourner, great example of something that could get a baby form. You could get, there's 2 different Indeedis. You could get a little nerd kid that evolves into these Pokemon. I don't think I want that, but I'm just saying, could exist. Cufant could also get a baby form. Let's see what else. Duraludon. That's actually what needs it the most. Duraludon needs a baby form, because then you actually have a Pokemon that is, dude, I'm calling it. We're going to end the video on this. Duraludon is going to get, that's my call, is going to get a baby form in Pokemon Legends Galar. It will be, that's what it's going to be. It's going to be a baby that evolves into Duraludon. It's going to evolve again into Arcaludon with that 600 base stat total, and then there will be no more stupid arguments on Twitter about whether or not a Pokemon, or Arcaludon specifically, is a pseudo-legendary because it has 600 base stat total, like attack points, like a pseudo-legendary, but it doesn't evolve 2 times from an initial stage. That was the stupid argument that people were making. But guess what? If this thing gets a baby form, it could happen. What would it be? It would probably just be like an actual stapler, maybe. I feel like it could be... It's a dinosaur. It's kind of like dinosaur-like. So maybe it's just like... Yeah, what they would do, I think they would take this weird, like, armed thing that it has, and that would become the baby Pokemon. Like, I feel like its head... It would be like this, like... It would look like Sheen from... What is that show called? Yeah. Jimmy Neutron. This would be kind of it'd be like a kid with this kind of hair, and it would look like Duraludon's arm right here, and he would just be kind of like a crazy kid, like, ah! But then he evolves into this, like, menace, this absolute menace. Let me know if you want more videos about Galar. I just dropped a full explainer video of my... It's a 40-minute lore video on my main channel explaining my Pokemon Legends Galar project. Check out the reveal trailer if you have not already, and subscribe if you're new. This is the second channel. Shout out to you. I'll talk to you soon. Bye bye.